Hey guys, it's Fee, and I am here for another gender test video. Or at least we'll call this the Old Wives' Tale tally list, because that's what I have going on. I have a little list here. I looked up a whole bunch of Old Wives' Tales. Actually, I have 20 of them. And I figured out which ones say whether it's going to be a boy or whether it's going to be a girl. So I thought I would share them all with you, and we could do a little counter and see who wins in the end. First of all, my anatomy scan is on June 5th, though I personally, hopefully, will not find out until the following Sunday, because we are doing a gender party. So we're not going to actually have them tell us on the day of the anatomy scan, but that's still like 3 weeks away all total. So let's have a little fun and see if any of these end up holding some truth. All right, 20 things. Let's get moving. All right, first of all, you guys know, if you've been watching my videos, I already did 3. I did the baking soda test, I did the red cabbage test, and I did the IntelliGender test, and all 3 of them said boy. So that's 3 for the boys right off the bat. Let's just get that out of the way. All right, on to my list of 20 things. So technically, I guess in the end, it's going to be 23. So 20 things. First one I think is the most common you hear about, and that's nausea. Supposedly, if you have a bunch of nausea, it's a girl. If you don't, it's a boy. Well, if you guys have been watching my videos, you know I've had nausea. I've had a lot of gag reflex to stuff. I only tossed cookies once, but tons of nausea, so that's definitely one for the girls. Second, cravings. Cravings. Now, I've seen this one written a couple different ways, so I kind of combined them here. And supposedly if you were craving sweets or fruits or sugar or anything in that realm, it's supposed to be a girl. Or if you're craving savory or salty or proteins like meats and cheeses, then that's supposed to be a boy. Well, I think I've kind of had a decent mix, but honestly, I wanted nothing but hot dogs in the very beginning for a number of weeks, so that falls under protein, so that's got to be one for the boys. Third one, acne. Supposedly, if you get a bunch of acne, it's the girl stealing away your beauty. I don't know if I like the way that's worded, but that's the way it's said. If you don't, then it's a boy. Now, honestly, at first, I didn't have any. I didn't have anything. I didn't even have any during my IVF cycle leading up to this, and that was really rare. Every single other IVF cycle, the skin has just kind of gone nuts. So for a while there, I thought this was going to be a tally for the boy, but over the last, I'm going to say 3 weeks, that's definitely changed. You can't really tell in this video, thank God, that's a good thing for me, but I have had some breakouts, a lot of breakouts on the cheeks, and they're not like your average blemishes. They're not like extractable blemishes, so I consider them hormonal. They're different, so I'm going to call them hormonal blemishes, hormonal acne, zits, whatever you want to call them. So that's one for the girls. That is definitely one for the girls. All right, number 4. This one I thought was really interesting. I have only heard of this one a couple times. Dreams. Supposedly, if I am dreaming about having a boy, that means I'm going to have a girl. And if I'm dreaming about having a girl, then that means I'm going to have a boy. You know, Murphy's Law, exact opposites. Well, here's the problem. I really haven't been dreaming about either one. I have been dreaming, don't get me wrong, crazy dreams, but nothing along that sort. However, I have a number of friends that have said that they have been dreaming about what I'm going to have. They haven't all been the same, so I'm just going to go with the popularity rules, and the majority of the people have been saying that they've been dreaming about me having a boy. So I guess that means one for the girls. I don't know if that counts, because technically they weren't my dreams, but there you go. I will say I have had one friend that did say she thought that she had a dream saying that I had a girl, but everybody else said that their dreams were boys. So I'm going to go one for the girls on that one. 5th one. Left sleeper or right sleeper? If you're a left sleeper, it's supposed to mean a boy. If you're a right sleeper, it's supposed to mean a girl. I sleep on my side normally, but I am more comfortable on my right side. I always have been, and that hasn't changed. So right sleepers for the girls. Urine color. If it's dull, it's supposed to be a girl, and if it's bright, it's supposed to be a boy. I had a hard time with this one, but I mean, I don't know if this is supposed to go according to first morning or just general all other times of the day. I wouldn't consider mine to be very bright, except in the first morning, but I think that's normal for everybody. So I'm going to go along with everything else, and I'm going to say that the color is dull, and dull means girl. You guys see where this is going here? Another strange one, but I guess this kind of goes with the hormone thing. Supposedly, if you have more leg hair, it means you're having a boy. If you have same or less, it means you're having a girl. Now, let me just put this out there. I'm Italian, all right? If you know anybody who's Italian, that means the hair is prevalent. It has to be removed on a regular basis. But I will say it's definitely been less while I've been pregnant, so I gotta go with girl on that one. This is a super common one. I think it's been around since the beginning of time. Heart rate. Supposedly, if it's under 140 beats, that means boy. If it's over 140 beats, that means girl. First of all, when you do this one, you kind of want to go according to first trimester, because as the muscles and nervous system start to develop around the heart and the heartbeat becomes more regular, so to speak, the heartbeat does start to go closer to a normal pace, definitely faster than ours, but lower than what you see during the first trimester. So you want to do this according to the first trimester. First trimester heart rate, and up until recently has been in like 170s, 160s, pretty consistently, so I've got to go with girl on that one. Side note on that, by the way, I have a pregnancy day-by-day book that had a sidebar in it, actually just a couple of days ago, and they said that, this blows my mind, that somebody spent time and money doing this, but apparently in the mid-1990s, somebody did a study on whether or not the heart rate thing really and truly told you whether or not you had a boy or a girl, and supposedly it was scientifically disproven. But I still think it's really interesting that somebody spent money to figure that out. But anyhow, more headaches means boy, same or less means girl. I really haven't had too many headaches. The only time I had headaches was when I was sick with my sinuses. That doesn't really count in my book. All the other times, I really haven't had headaches at all. So, girl. And I swear, I did not pick these out just based on what the result was going to be. I did just write these all out, figured out what each one of them was, and went with the tally. Because like I said, I'm sure you can see where this is going. Father has more sisters or brothers. If he has more sisters, it means girl. If he has more brothers, it means boy. Something about which swimmers you got, I guess. I don't know. My husband has 3 sisters, and that's it. So there you go. Tina's Ramsey theory. I don't know if you guys are all familiar with this. But supposedly, if you're lucky enough to get an ultrasound between 6 and 8 weeks, that's the only time this is really accurate, supposedly accurate. If in that ultrasound you see the placenta forming, or if it actually already is starting to be there, and you can see it, if it's forming on the right side of the uterus, that means boy. If it's forming on the left side, that means girl. The one thing you have to take into account with this is what type of ultrasound you have. Abdominal ultrasounds are mirror images, so you got to flip it. Mine were not abdominal ultrasounds during that time, and the placenta was definitely on the left. So that's girl. You guys have heard me say that I have an anterior placenta, so it is towards the front, but it's the front left. Ring on a string test, also known as needle on a string test. I know there's numerous versions of this one. The one that I did, you're supposed to do over your belly. And the website that I checked said if the ring or needle, I used a ring, I used my husband's wedding ring, does circles, that means boy. And if it does lines, like just going back and forth, that means girl. And I did get a line. Moodiness. Now, in all fairness, I had to ask my husband this one because we never want to say we're moody, right? So I didn't tell him what result meant what. And I said, have I been moody or have I just been happy? And he said, I've been happy. And that does mean boy. Number 16, skin on your hands. Has it been soft or has it been dry? I have had a lot of problems with dry skin all over my body. I have no idea if it's just a change of the season or if it's a pregnancy thing or what the deal is, but my hands have been soft. It's the only part that has not had a problem. My hands have been soft, and soft hands means girl. This is another one I had to ask my husband because I wanted it to be fair. Again, I didn't tell him what results meant what. Balance. Are you clumsy or are you stable? He did say I've had a case of the dropsies, which I have noticed, but he didn't consider that to have anything to do with my balance. He said my balance has been stable, so that means girl. Stable means girl. If it was clumsy, it would have been boy. This is another really interesting one that I think has been around since the beginning of time, probably before anybody had any kinds of tests. Supposedly, if all you've been thinking about is girls' names, that means you're going to have a girl. If all you've been thinking about is boys' names, it means you're going to have a boy. I don't know how fair this is. We have been thinking about girls' names a lot, but I think that's mostly because the boy's name is a bit of a battle for me and my husband. I don't want to give away too much with that because in order to explain that, I'd have to tell you the names, and I don't want to do that just yet. But we've definitely been thinking about girls' names. Definitely been thinking about girls' names. Just for the record, we don't have an official full boy or girl's name. We have bits of one and bits of another. But we have been thinking about girls' names the majority of the time. This is another strange one. Supposedly, if your nose gets wider, has been getting wider while you've been pregnant, that means boy. If it stayed the same, it means girl. I don't have the smallest nose in the world. It's just my opinion. But I don't think it's changed. I haven't noticed anything weird. So the same means girl. So that's another one for the girls. Hubby's weight since you've been pregnant. Has he gained? Or has he been the same? Or lost? My husband didn't entirely know his exact weight. He had a pretty good general idea of where he was. And then he went and got on the scale when I asked him this question. Again, didn't tell him what result meant what. And his has stayed about the same, so that means girl. Chinese calendar, which again, that's another one that's been around since the beginning of time. Thankfully, there's websites now that'll let you do this because to do it accurately, I believe it goes by the Chinese calendar or lunar ages or something like that. So to do it accurately, you have to know all that information. Thankfully, there's now websites that let you do this, so I just plugged in the information. The way it works is it's a chart based on your age at the time of conception and the month of conception. Well, age of conception is pretty easy. I am 36. Regardless of what month we go with, that wouldn't change. The month of conception is where it gets kind of funky. We did an FET. We did IVF. So my transfer was on February 2nd, so it was like, well, do we go according to February? Or since they were 6-day embryos, do we do mathematical and back it up 6 days and go with January? Or do we go when they were really and truly conceived, which is December of 2014? My husband and I decided we should probably go with the real thing because I'm sure the Chinese calendar probably doesn't take into account IVF or FET or anything like that. So we just went when they were really and truly conceived, created in the dish, fine with us. And that is December. And my age was December would make it a boy. On that same token is Mayan calendar. I have not heard of this one before. But it's the same concept and it's the same reason why I wanted to save it to the end because it has a little bit more explanation. Goes right along with the Chinese calendar thing. Again, it's age at conception, so we're good there. We know what that is. The other one is conception year. Well, as I just explained, what month do we go according to? Because if it's January or February, that's 2015. If it's December, when they really and truly were conceived and brought together, then it's 2014. We decided to go with when they really and truly were conceived, like we did. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to add my age in 2014 together. And if you end up with an even, you got a girl. If you end up with an odd, you have a boy. And 2014 plus my age equals 50. So that is an even, and that's another one for the girls. I will say I did see another version of that one where if my age and the year were both odds, or one was even and one was odd, or both were even, then that said whether it was a girl or a boy. You didn't actually add them together. I don't remember what the results of that type of math resulted in, but the majority of the places I looked said you were supposed to add them together and get either even or odd, but I did want to mention that. So there you go. You've got girl by a landslide. Before I let you go, there was a couple that I did not do that I did find. I just wanted to mention it just in case anybody was wondering. We did try to do the Drano test. Before you yell at me, I didn't do it myself. I had my husband do it outside. If you don't know anything about that, you're not supposed to do the Drano test. It's not safe. The chemicals are just not good to be around when you're pregnant. So I had my husband do it, but it didn't work for us. I don't know if it's just supposed to be regular run-of-the-mill Drano. We had Drano Ultra, I think it is, on hand. And it's just like the other urine tests that I did. You're supposed to pour some of the first morning urine. And with the Drano, it's supposed to turn a color. So it's probably another pH test, but I'm not sure. I didn't look it up. If it turned green, it was supposed to mean girl. If it turned blue, it was supposed to mean boy. It didn't turn anything for us, so I can't really count that one. And the other ones that I'm not doing that are super, super common is how I'm carrying, whether I'm carrying high, carrying low, whether I'm kind of carrying all around or up front. I didn't do that because, as I've mentioned before, I'm a plus-size girl. There's a couple extra cheeseburgers, a couple extra burritos down there, and I do kind of carry a little pooch low, very low. I always have. Even when I was pretty rail thin, that's where the weight would go first. So I didn't really want to do those because I didn't think they'd be accurate. But I did a whole bunch of other ones. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Here's your results. Let me know below what you think it is, and we'll find out in 3-ish weeks. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.